Good day, good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to today's and Trevek's sixth webinar series on nutrition and eye health, the science behind the connection. The topic again, nutrition and eye health, the science behind the connection. My name is Okoyemi George, and I will be your moderator for this very important and informative section. Thank you for taking out time from your busy schedules to join us today. We truly appreciate your presence, and we hope that by the end of this webinar, you will walk away with practical knowledge that can help you protect and eye health through proper nutrition. The aim of this webinar is to educate the general public on what we eat and how it affects our eyes. Our eyes are one of the most vital organs of the body, yet they are often neglected when it comes to nutrition. Many people are unaware that what we eat daily has a direct impact on how well we see and how healthy our eyes remain over time. In today's world, we are constantly exposed to screens, environmental pollution, poor eating habits, and lifestyle related conditions such as diabetes and high blood pressure. All of these factors can affect our vision. However, the good news is that proper nutrition can play a major role in preventing eye diseases, slowing down vision loss, and maintaining good eyesight throughout life. This is why today's discussion on nutrition and eye health is both timely and necessary. Without wasting much of our time, it is my pleasure to welcome our speaker for today, Dr. Osazee Agbonlahor. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Osazee. Doctor, sir, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon. Sorry, my voice is echoing at the moment. Okay, I'm sure you can hear me clearly right now.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Apoyemi, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much from wherever you are listening to this webinar from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have quite a number of viewers that will be in this, joining this call today or right now. Just because of the short time allotted for this session, we usually don't want to exceed the 1 hour that has allotted for this time. So we'll just go ahead, and I hope others join us as quickly as possible. Just like the host or the moderator have mentioned, we oftentimes not understand or play down on certain things that are all around us that actually affects or contributes significantly to our vision. And this is why we are looking at this very, very interesting topic today. We have looked at several topics in the past. So for some of you that have missed out on the webinars or the series that we've had in the past, you could kindly visit our website, Tree Talk Vision Eye Center, www.trevec.com.ng, or visit our YouTube channel, which some of the videos have been uploaded. You could watch them there, get informed, and most importantly, share to your loved ones so that you can also do this act of sharing or in educating the public, because one thing is that educating the public is everybody's business. You and I play a significant role as far as that is concerned. Okay, so we'll just kick off, just go straight into what we have today. So the theme or the topic for today is nutrition and eye health. Nutrition and eye health. These these I thought about this when we were preparing for this webinar series, because it's quite important, and it's some persons will say health is cheap, and this is one of the reasons why this seminar is organized, or this topic was chosen. You can prevent it. So prevention is always cheaper than cure. They say prevention is better than cure. Not just only better, but cheaper. There are things you can do, there are habits you can have that will help your, not just only your eye health, but your overall health. And so the focus of tonight's meeting or tonight's presentation is to help you understand the science behind the connection between nutrition and eye health. So because of the kind of audience I have professionals in our midst here. I also have students. I also have friends. And so there's a mixture of my audience as far as these webinars are concerned. And so I'll try as much as I can to break some of these complex medical jargons, break it down for you to understand. So by way of, I'll just mention or list out the objectives, okay? The objectives for tonight's discussion. Because of our time, there's quite a number of things that one would have discussed, but because of the time frame, we don't want to exceed that time. We'll just focus on some of these things. And the first we're going to be looking at is a brief definition of some terms. Okay, we're going to define what eye health is. We're going to define what nutrition is. And then we will now look at the physiology of nutrition as well as the physiology of vision. Okay, so then we'll proceed to look at what are those key nutrients that improves eye health. What are those key nutrients that you and I should have a habit of engaging in so that our eye health will be preserved? Then we will look at what antioxidants are. I'm sure some of you have heard of antioxidants here and there. I'm also going to throw a bit light on that. Then we'll look at some of the eye diseases and how nutrition can help these eye diseases, either prevent them or help or assist significantly in curing them. And lastly, I'm going to share a few tips that can help you enhance your eye health. So once again, my name is Dr. Osazee Agbonlahor, and I'll be giving this presentation today. And just to put out a disclaimer there, I may be mentioning a few names of either supplements or brand names of some fruits, but there's nothing attached to it. There's no monetary attachments to that. So that's a disclaimer in case I mention or use some of these products for this presentation today. So let's dig in quickly. The first thing we're going to be looking at, like I told you, is we're going to define some terms and give a background. Now, I've already mentioned to you that nutrition and health have a very strong connection. If you neglect some things in nutrition, it's going to have impact on your health. And of course, if you not neglect, now that's the opposite of neglecting, of course, it's going to have some positive effect or impact on your eye health. So what's nutrition basically? Nutrition simply is when, or a process when you take in food And this food, of course, is broken down into nutrients. The basic biology will tell you that we have several classes of foods, about six of them. We have carbohydrates, we have proteins, we have fats and oil, we have mineral salts, we have vitamin. Okay. And now, depending on any of these foods you take in, they are broken down, and those tiny molecules that they are broken down into is what you take in, to help you have energy, to grow, to do work, and all of that. So it's like fueling your body, just like you fuel your car for it to give you the right performance. So nutrients or nutrition is basically that process whereby we take in these foods that will help maintain our health. And so if you take them correctly and adequately, obviously you will have some quality of health. But if you neglect them, then you know the result already. Now, what about eye health? We have mentioned over time, we cannot overemphasize the definition of eye health. I think in the last one of our previous episodes, we have looked at what eye health is. But just to define this again, eye health simply means an overall well-being of your eyes, and not just your eyes, but your visual system. Because you and I know by now that vision is beyond just the eye. Okay, in our last episode, we talked about vision in itself, and I explained that vision goes beyond just the eye. Okay, vision has to do with your eye, your brain, and your body. So having all these areas in check gives you proper eye health. So the overall well-being of the eyes and the visual system, either physically, functionally, by the perceptual aspects as well, also incorporates what we talk about eye health. And of course, visual acuity is one of those ways we measure if your eye health is okay or not. We also check the structure of the eye, both anteriorly and posteriorly, the eye function also, and definitely comfort. Because there's one thing every optometrist looks at when they see a patient, not just good vision, but good and comfortable vision. So it means that vision can be good, but not comfortable, meaning that you can see clearly, things appear clear, but in the process of seeing clearly, do you have headaches? Do you have light sensitivity? Do you have some form of discomfort when you see? If that happens, then you don't have good vision. And so eye health incorporates all of these areas. So that's just a background. So you know what nutrition is now, you know what eye health is. And there's a very strong connection. And my job this evening is to help you understand the connection. Now let's look at the next part. Now, physiology of nutrition. I gave that term because this is a big medical jargon, but I'll try as much as I can to break them down. So when we talk about physiology, we're simply talking about the normal function, okay? Normal function, the normal process, something, the normal process of something, okay? So physiology in medicine just simply talks about studying the normal functioning of an organ or a tissue or a cell. Okay, so we want to look at the normal function or the normal process of nutrition. That's what I want to explain using this diagram here. So nutrition begins with ingestion. That means you eat something goes inside of you. Depending on the type of food you are eating now, whether it's carbohydrate or it's protein, you ingest it. For nutrition to take place, there must be ingestion. Although sometimes because of some kind of medical complexities or some problems, ingestion may not necessarily be by mouth. Sometimes you can ingest either through the nose or through some form of passage via, the throat for exceptional cases. But in a normal, remember we're looking at the normal function. So that's what physiology is about. So the normal functioning of nutrition, or the normal process of nutrition, that's what we talk about, physiology of nutrition. And so it has to be by the mouth. So when you take food into the mouth, depending on the class of food that you take in, digestion begins. Okay. For example, if you're taking in carbohydrates, as soon as you put it in your mouth, there are enzymes. Enzymes are substances that the body secretes to break down these food items you take in. So just call them chemicals, okay? They are chemicals the body secretes to break down this food. So depending on the class of food that you are taking in, will determine the kind of enzyme that will break that food down. For example, carbohydrates. The breaking down of carbohydrates starts in the mouth. There's an enzyme we call enzyme ptyalin, if you remember your simple biology. Okay, as soon as you take any carbohydrate material into your mouth, as you chew, it starts, that enzyme is already released, and of course, the process of digestion has begun. It starts breaking it down, until it gets to that very minute or simple unit called glucose. Okay, so depending on the type of food, like I said earlier, digestion begins. So digestion simply is this large lump of gari, for example, or a spoon of rice, or a spoon of cereal, whatever you're eating. Okay, and it goes from the mouth down to the stomach, digestion begins. And so most of the digestion actually happens within the stomach. So at the stomach level, a lot of enzymes, okay, a lot of chemicals are secreted to break these food particles down. Now, remember that as this food particle is broken down, it has to go into the body. It has to go into the bloodstream, because the bloodstream is what transports all these nutrients gotten from this food, the process of digestion, via the body. So it breaks them down, and then when it goes to an area we call the small intestine. Now, the small intestine is part of the digestive system, okay, whereby there are small, tiny holes. We call them microvilli, okay, small holes where these nutrients are being absorbed from. Okay, so ingestion goes to digestion, and then this broken down particles is being absorbed via the microvilli, like I told you earlier, in the small intestine, and then it goes into the bloodstream. Okay, now as it goes into the bloodstream, that is how these nutrients are distributed all over the body. Okay, and of course it goes to every organ, every tissue, and every cell. Remember, the cell is the most small, I wanted to use a big grammar, medical jargon, but the smallest unit of every being or everything living is called a cell. Although physics will tell you atom, that's the smallest particle. Okay, but let's look at living creatures now. It is broken down from system. So let's say the digestive system, for example, is broken down from system into organs. Okay, so of course the stomach is an organ in the digestive system. All right, now the organ is broken down into tissues. Okay, and then tissues to cells. So when you have a gathering or an aggregate of cells, we call it tissue. An aggregate of tissue, we call it organ. And of course, an aggregate of organ, we call it system. I hope I'm not going too deep. Please just follow me so that we can all flow. But I'm explaining what the physiology of nutrition is. So just to give a quick recap, it starts from ingestion, that's taking food into your mouth. Then it goes to digestion, where this food particle, that lump of eba you swallowed, is broken down into the smallest unit, and then it is then absorbed within the stomach in the area called the small intestine. And then the next process is very, very significant. We call it metabolism. Now, this is where those tiny particles of food that have been absorbed is moved into the cell. Remember, the cell, like I told you earlier, is the minutest form of a human being, the cell. So that particle or that food you ate is broken down into the smallest particle that must enter the cell. It is in the cell that that food is made use of. There's no other part, whether it's in the mouth or you may feel and enjoy the taste of the food. The stomach may also feel the food, but it is useful more in the cell because that is where what we call metabolism takes place. Now, what is metabolism? Metabolism is when that food particle you have taken that has been broken down into the minutest form, called what we call glucose, is being converted into energy for us, for you and I, to move around, to walk, to have ability. Okay, so we call that kind of energy ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So glucose that food has been broken down into is converted in the cell into energy, and that's where we have the energy to do work. That's why if you have not eaten for a long time, you don't have energy. Why? Because there's no glucose that have been sent into the cell and for you to convert it to energy. So that's what metabolism is about. I will stop it there so that I don't get you confused. So simply, metabolism is just the breaking down or the conversion of that food particle you have eaten, the smallest unit, the smallest part, which is the glucose, into energy. Then, of course, in the process of converting the energy, that glucose into energy, of course, not everything you will use. The body will have to excrete the waste product or the ones that are not useful. Okay, the ones that are not useful is then passed through another part of the system or the large intestine, and of course, it goes out through the anus, or sometimes through the through urine, okay, or even sometimes through sweating. So these are the materials that the body does not use and it excretes them out. So this is the physiology of nutrition, the normal process of nutrition. Okay, it starts again with ingesting, as taking in the food, and the food is broken down. Then the particles is being absorbed, and of course, it goes into the cell, which is the minutest form of your human system of a living tissue. And then that particle is converted into energy, and the waste, of course, is sent out of the body. That's the normal process of nutrition. Now, having understood that, let's look at the physiology of vision. I think I've stressed this in previous episode of this training or this public health webinar. Vision, like I said earlier, it's not just about seeing, okay? But let's look at the physiology now, the normal process of vision. I put there that vision is eye, brain, and body coordination. So vision begins with light. That is why if you don't have light in the house, you can't see, because everything you see must be illuminated. Light must be there. And that is why you have night. Night is the absence of light. That's the absence of the sun in this case. White darkness is the absence of light. So for you to see anything, it must begin with light. So the physiology of vision begins with light. All right. Now, light is shown, and of course, it hits on objects around you. Now, these objects around you reflect some of this light rays into your eyes. Now, the eye perceives the rays from these objects and it sends it to the brain. Then the brain interprets what these light rays had brought to it. And then it responds by sending motor signals to the body for response. Okay, so that's just a brief, and a superficial explanation of the physiology of vision. It's really deeper than that, but for the sake of the audience I'm having tonight, I'll just stop it at that. So it begins with light. Light is being captured by the eye. The eye sends what is captured to the brain, and the brain interprets what the eye has sent to it. So that's where you now say, oh, that is a bottle, that is a boy, or that's a ball coming towards me. Now, if a ball is thrown towards you, like is seen in this photo in front of us now, the brain has seen that is a ball coming, and it has told the lady or this young girl to stretch forth her hands to catch the ball. If that or if the brain does not understand that it's a ball coming, then do not send information to the hand for the hand to be stretched out. So that is why we say vision is eye, brain, and body coordination. The body must respond accurately to what is seen. If you don't get vision to that point, then vision is not complete. Okay, so it starts with light, the eye, the brain, and then the body's response to what is seen. Sometimes people can overreach, underreach the ball, or not even raise the hands at all because there's a problem with vision. We're not looking at the problem of vision, we're looking at the normal process. That's the physiology of vision. And so it's expected that as light is present, the eye captures the rays that these objects around you send to it, and it sends those information to the brain, and the brain interprets what is being sent and sends motor responses to the body for the body to respond as it should. That is what we call the physiology of vision. So connecting these two things, nutrition and vision, you see that there is a very, very strong connection. Nutrition has a strong role to play as far as this normal functioning of vision is talked about. It's so important that nutrition, the normal physiology of nutrition, helps normal functioning of vision. So the physiology of nutrition contributes significantly to the physiology of vision. If there's a problem with nutrition, there would definitely be a problem with vision. Okay, I'll stop at that. Let's look at the next area, which is the key nutrients for eye health. Some of us take some things for granted. Okay, but the aim of this webinar is to make you understand how important these things are. We're not intentional about our diet, and I hope that after this meeting, you'll be more intentional about your diet. There are numerous. In fact, when I was preparing for this webinar, there were quite a number of nutrients, key nutrients that is needed for the eye or for proper eye health. But for the sake of the short time we had, I had to just bring up a few of them. Okay, so some of us have we feel eating fish is maybe a poor man's kind of protein. Okay, you are wrong. You're wrong, because fish have been proven over time to have so many benefits, not just to your eyes, but to your general body. And so when people go and buy fish, don't think it is because they don't have money. In fact, it gets to a point where you're as an old man or as an old woman, that all those beef and meats, you reduce their intake and you concentrate on fish. Now, what is in fish? Not just any fish, but I've selected a few here: salmon, tuna, and sardines. That's your Titus kind of fish that we commonly call it here in this part of the world, in Nigeria. Okay, there's what we call omega-3 fatty acids that is rich in these proteins, and over time, it has this nutrient has been fundamental as far as I is concerned. It has a lot of benefit that it gives you and I if we consume them as much as we can. Okay? Look at carrots, strawberries, citrus fruits like your oranges. These are also very, very good and key for eye health. So much. All right. They contain vitamin A, they contain vitamin C, they contain vitamin B12 that is very, very helpful for the normal functioning of your vision. Very, very important. And so I would explain what these vitamins, how they help vision or how they help improve your health as we go on. Then lastly, green vegetables. In fact, if you ask me, I would say every of your diet, every meal you take should contain vegetables. And when I'm saying vegetable, I'm not saying the kind of egusi soup that we make here in this part of the world, where you just sprinkle a few leaf, a few stuff inside the. In fact, what we do is to make it appealing. That one is to color it to have an aesthetic value. That's all. Because those little strands of vegetable, is not as it should in terms of giving you the nutrients that you deserve or that you're supposed to have. Okay, so I know that sometimes you just put some of these things to maybe make the food appear better, and all of that. But you should your mind should think more. That ugu leaf, that bitter leaf, that what else do you call them, ladies in the house? Those green vegetables, you should eat them in large quantities. Okay, you should eat them in large quantities in every of your meal. In fact, have it separately. Don't sprinkle it in your meal. Have it separately and take them, directly because it helps. If you can make a full vegetable soup, okay, or sauce, and just have it and take it. And usually, we always advise you take it as fresh as possible. And don't overcook them because overcooking them may also reduce the level of nutrients that they carry. Okay. Then also your cabbages, your broccolis, your green peas, and all of those things are also very, very important. That is why your coleslaw, is that what you call it, or your salad is very, very rich. When you put all of those things in there, your carrots, your cabbages, and all of those things you put in there that make them look green, they are very, very healthy. They contain what we call lutein and zeaxanthin. These are very, very helpful to help the eye work and function properly. All right. So, for the sake of time, if you focus on these three things I've mentioned and ensure that every of your diet has them, then you are doing well to your eye health, and not just only your eye health, but your general health. So, take time to ensure that these things are present in your diet. The fourth thing I'll mention, this is very, very important. We hear of antioxidants. How does antioxidants help you? Now, remember, I told you something about when we're talking about the physiology of nutrition. I told you that at some point, from ingestion to digestion, from digestion to absorption, from absorption to what we call metabolism. So that's where these nutrients are converted into energy. Now, take note that every energy that you get from the conversion of those tiny particles, glucose anyways, okay? Any glucose that is converted into energy is a process. We call it metabolism. It's a process. Now, as the energy is produced, remember that process will release some byproducts. Okay, each time I explain this to my students or to anybody that cares to listen, what I tell them is, or when I'm explaining this, I always tell them to imagine a generator set. Okay, for some of you may not have seen a generator before, but for those of us in this part of the world, we see it every time. In fact, there's no house that don't have it. So you know what a generator set is. Now, the idea behind the generator set is you put in fuel or diesel into the tank. That is the fuel or the food that we take in. Now, you put in that fuel into the gen set, and of course, you put the gen on so that it can produce electricity for you. So the fuel you pour into the generator is like the food you take in. And the process of it working to give you light is all called metabolism. Now, the light it gives you is the energy that we use to do work. But you should know that as that energy is produced, as that light is produced by the generator set, if you look closely around that generator, you will see an area where fumes are coming out from carbon monoxide. That's the byproduct, that's the wastes that is coming out from that generator set. If you don't put that generator set in a place where you properly channel that byproduct out of that set, over time you will damage that set. And that's why usually they have a separate channel where these fumes go out from. So if you picture that, then let's go back to metabolism. Glucose is a fuel, and as it goes into the cell, because all of this happens at cellular level, as it goes into the cell, it is being converted into energy, and energy in the form of ATP is released. Definitely, the byproduct of that process goes into the body or remains within the cell, and somehow it comes out of the cell. Either it comes out or it remains there. We call those things free radicals. In fact, I tell people that cares to listen, if by chance there's a way all these free radicals or these byproducts can go out of your system, I mean 100% of the ones produced can go out of your system, man will not grow old and man will not die, because death actually begins from the cellular level. It doesn't just start. It is when the cell starts dying, then it now graduates from cellular level to tissue. The tissue starts dying, and then the organ fails. Well, you have organ failure. It doesn't just fail like that. It has started at cellular level. And the presence of these free radicals within the cell contributes significantly to the death of that cell. So you can see that the good thing that the glucose is giving us has its own side. Okay, so as the process goes on, where we get energy from this glucose, the byproduct is also released, and this byproduct is all called free radicals. So this is why you need to have a balanced meal. Now listen carefully to the next thing I'm going to say. How can this, the question we should be asking ourselves is, just like I mentioned earlier, if these byproducts, these free radicals can be taken out of our system, trust me, you will not grow old. Because what makes your skin wrinkle, what makes your heart fail, what makes your liver fail is because there's too much of these free radicals. I'm not saying that's the only thing. I'm just talking about the normal physiology of the body, because death is also part of it anyways. Every man must die. And I'm just explaining why these things happen. When the death starts happening at cellular level, it must transcend to the system itself. All right? So, where was I? I hope you can still hear me, please. I've been talking for a while. Mr. George.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
All right. Very much. I beg your pardon. I'm trying to rush because of the time. I would want us to exceed, the time allotted for this meeting, so that you can ask your questions and do other things you want to do. So, if by chance we can take out all these free radicals from our system, then we will live longer and, of course, have a much more healthier life. Is that okay? Now, the question is, how do we take out these things from our body? This is where the vitamins that you take in from these foods that we've mentioned comes into play. So we call them antioxidants. And that's why I was very specific about some of those foods you take. Generally, what vitamins do, not just only to help nourish your system, vitamins generally, the ones I've mentioned in the past or mentioned earlier on, have a way of combating these free radicals. Just like the word is radical. When you hear of something that is radical, it means that is trouble. Okay? They are free. These troublemakers are free to do harm, to cause havoc within the body or within the cell. All right? So it means that if we find a way to combat or to de radicalize these radicals, then you will find out that the system will be better. Just like you are having in Nigeria today or in some troubled nations, where they have terrorists and all of that. When you de-radicalize them, although I don't know what they are trying to do in this part of the world here, let me not go into those areas. But the point is, if you have a system of converting these free radicals into something that the body can use, you have done a great job. And this is exactly what vitamins helps us to do. So vitamins help to convert these free radicals into something the body can use. Can you imagine that? So for those of you that don't consciously have these things in your meal, you are having too many free radicals within your system. And that's why you either fall sick too often or you see yourself growing old beyond what you expected, because there's so many free radicals within your system. And that's why some people will come and tell you detox. I'm sure you have heard that before. Oh, drink this concussion, drink this bobo niche and co, that it will detox and cleanse your system. They have an idea. They're trying to sell this idea to you so that you can, if they are correct, the only problem I have with them is some of these things they sell to us are not in proper measure. They are not censored. They are just, concussions here and there that you don't know if it can even damage some of the organs within you. But the idea that they have is to see how they detox you, take out all those free radicals from your system. But you don't need all of that if you naturally engage these vitamins from these natural sources that we've mentioned earlier. So if we can take them, if we can take vitamins, vitamins have a way, okay, for those of us that are scientific, for those of us that are scientists, what actually happens there is that free radicals are unstable. That's why they cause trouble. They are very unstable. So what happens is that these antioxidants come and contribute, something to them, contributes an electron to them to make them stable. It's just like the Niger Delta militants. They agitate. Oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. You guys are coming to our zone to take oil and you don't give us anything back. So the government will say, okay, is that what you want? Is that what is making you unstable? Okay, take this. That's exactly what happens. So if these antioxidants contribute something to those free radicals to make them stable, and of course, the body can make use of them. They will not cause trouble again. If that can happen in the cell that God made, don't see why governments cannot approach this same pattern to stabilize, the country or the nation. That's exactly what happens. So now we talk about oxidative stress. In fact, the presence of these free radicals within the system is what leads to what we call oxidative stress. When there's too many of these free radicals within a system, it then now causes that cell, it starts from the cell. It causes that cell to be very unstable and stressed. That's what we call oxidative stress. Okay. And of course, just like I told you, the vitamins and some of these nutrients we have mentioned earlier can help reduce that. And of course, overall, not just only reducing neutralizing free radicals or reducing oxidative stress, it also helps to enhance the general system. It helps to make sure that the nerves function properly, helps to make sure that the binding site and action, the physical action to happen is clear, nothing clogs there, and all of that. Okay, so that's the role of antioxidants. I hope I've been able to pass a few messages there. We'll wrap it up shortly. Now, what are some of these IDs common ones. There are quite a number of them, but I'll just mention a few that nutrition can help to prevent or help to contribute into its cure. Okay, we have quite a number of them. I will start with the most common. Okay, we know that some of us may not know, but cataract is the leading cause of blindness in the world. Okay, it's the number one leading cause of blindness in the world. Okay, though thank God it can be reversed. Okay, but there's another one that is the number one cause of irreversible blindness, and that is glaucoma. So I need to mention these two because we hear of them all the time. Now, how does nutrition help to see how these diseases, eye diseases, can be cured or can be prevented? When you take vitamins, for example, like I said earlier, it helps reduce, you see, just so that I don't go into some of these technicalities, okay? I'll just limit it to what is here on the slide so I don't talk so deep and make us, lose track. So if you, there's a process we call cataractogenesis. Oh, I'm already there now. Now, there's a lens, there's something we call the crystalline lens in the eye. It's just like a lens. It's just like a glass. We use that, make you understand. Okay, it's like a lens, just like we know lenses. That lens is supposed to be clear, crystal clear at all times. But due to some of these things talking about the proliferation of free radicals within your system, it can cause the crystalline lens to lose its clarity. And of course that can cause what we call clouding of the lens. Clouding of the lens is what is called as cataract, as seen in this first photo here. You see this first photo here, you see this eye is white because the crystalline lens in there is clouded already, so light cannot go through it, and that will make that person not see. When you ensure some of these vitamins or these nutrients, you take them in the right proportion, you can help prevent it. However, if it's already there, if the process of cataractogenesis have begun, usually it will continue to process. It must have to end. Something that is finished. Okay, so you can't stop it halfway. Let me just let you know that. So I don't want someone to ask the question, oh, if I take in plenty of vitamins or take in plenty of all of this, would my cataract clear? It will not clear. Please, can you mute your mic? So John Tyrus, thank you so much. You don't expect taking plenty vitamins. Your cataract will clear. Some people feel like that they are being deceived that way, but no. If the process has begun, the right thing is to allow the process to complete. Then you take it out. It's a simple procedure that is done, in the clinic today. Then the next, like I told you, is glaucoma. Glaucoma simply means when the connection between the eye and the brain is damaged. Just like I told you in the physiology of vision, I told you that the eye gathers these rays that comes from the light, okay, and then sends it to the brain. The channel at which it sends it to the brain, we call it the optic nerve. If that optic nerve is damaged, then the eye cannot send any information to the brain, and the brain cannot interpret. So that's blindness, and that is irreversible even up to today. Okay, now how can we prevent, or how can eating these right nutrients help to or assist in the cure? Some of these nutrients I mentioned here, like lutein, zeaxanthin, omega fatty acids, vitamin Bs, have shown to see how they prolong the nerve fiber, that's the nerve that connects the eye to the brain. So usually for our glaucoma patients, you see us giving them some supplements, aside also giving them medications to control the pressure. We'll see that we'll give them supplements to see how, the nerve fiber, the nerve cell itself is preserved. The idea is to give direct nutrients that will go and bind with those radicals and make them not to cause too much trouble, so that the vision of that person can be prolonged. So that's the idea. Okay. So let's look at it two more and we'll close this aspect. The next is what we call ARMD, that's age-related macular degeneration. This is very, very, very common with age, or that's as you grow older, it comes more. However, you can also find in young people, okay, we call that juvenile, macular degeneration. Okay, it's found in younger people, but more common in adults. So if you see this photo here, you will see that these two boys holding this ball, this is a normal vision, but in this other one, you see that their faces are not visible. Why? This is the patient's view. The patient is looking at these boys. The patient that has a macular problem will not see a part in the field of view. So their faces are covered. So if they want to look at this boy's face, they have to tilt their head to the side so that they can use the side view to view that object. So the macula is like the center of the eye, okay? The center of the eye. And that's where most of our vision comes from. And if that area is damaged due to this condition, it can lead to a poor quality of life. How does nutrition help this? Studies have also proven that when you take in some of these nutrients, it helps to preserve the macula from some of these conditions. And lastly, a lot of us undergo this condition. We call it dry eye syndrome. Look at the advent, there's an upsurge of the use of screens everywhere. 80% or 90% of screen users usually come down with this condition or this syndrome. And of course, if you have that, if you have been diagnosed of dry eye, for those of you that are clinicians, you know that dry eyes can be treated. So don't just be giving your what's it called, your artificial tears. That's just for palliative purpose to make the patient feel okay. But if you have dry eye, it could be treated. You should find out the type of dry eye. Is it aqueous deficiency or evaporative? If it's any of them, find out if it's aqueous. Is it coming from the system? Is it systematic? Is this Joran or non-Joran? Look at find it out. There's a cause why that eye is not producing enough fluid. And of course, for the evaporative, find out, are the glands affected? The meibomian glands, are they affected? What's causing, the lipid area of the tears to be deficient? So you find it out and you treat it. Omega-3 fatty acids have been seen to help secrete some of these lipid glands, like a meibomian gland that is gotten from your regular fish oil. All right, so that's one very, very good advantage, or how nutrition can help in some of these eye disease. Lastly, so that I don't keep us longer than I should, what are the practical tips? I've actually mentioned a few of them as I was talking, and recommendations. I've mentioned a few of them. Number one, please ensure you eat balanced meal at all times. Don't only eat, yes, I know in this part of the world, if our stomach is not full, we have not eaten. It's fine. Have the big, whatever swallow or rice that you have, but make sure that in addition to that, put some of these things into consideration. Be intentional about your diet going forward, and you will thank God, much later if you do, because these things are provided for us freely. Also, incorporate high healthy nutrients and foods, like I've mentioned earlier. Stay hydrated. There's what we call water therapy. Water therapy is very, very important. The more water you take in, the better you become. The more hydrated you are, and the more better your circulation will be. The blood flow will be. Okay, so take in more water, and of course, if you have any other concern that needs expert opinion, please consult your optometrist, see your eye care professional, and of course, they will give you the needed advice that they should. All right, so thank you very much for listening to me. For sake of time, I'm not going to stop here to take a few questions if there are any. But just like I mentioned earlier, some of the past episodes, if you want to review them, please, you can visit our website as projected on the screen right now, or visit our YouTube channel at trevec.21 of Vision Eye Center and get a few of this. Also, these video would also be there, so you can also watch it if you missed it, in case you missed it. So thank you very much. I'll be happy to take in your questions now. Thank you. Akwayemi, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Osazee, for the educative presentation. At this point, we'll be moved to the question and answer segment. So if you have any question, this is the time to ask your question or share your thoughts about today's topic. Any question? Any questions from the audience? Any question? All right, sir. It's like there is no question. It's like we
Yes.
all.
So,
Sir.
thank you very much. Okay, so I want to believe that the discussion was clear and straight to the point. Okay, someone is unmuted.
Sorry, Dr. Osazee, not a question, but thank you very much. It was very enlightening. So it's very self-explanatory. I guess that's why nobody has questions.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Princess. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Even though I tuned in late, I'll go to the website and check.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ma. Somebody said the lecture was very clear. Thank you very much, Pastor Taiwo, for that remark.
Hello, Doctor.
Manuel
Good evening.
Alonge.
Yes, good
you
evening,
trying to
sir.
say something? Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thanks for the lecture tonight and the orientation. It's so clear. But I have a question to ask, and it has to do with hereditary cause glaucoma.
Okay. Sir, I don't know if you can move away from you're not really audible. We're struggling to hear you. Is it possible for you to change your location?
Hello, is it clearer now?
Aha, this is much better.
Eh?
It's much better now,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
It's much better now, sir. You can hear me.
Oh, the line is breaking now. Wow. Please, as far as hereditary
can you type your question? Type your question on the chat box. I will definitely
Okay, I will.
All right. Thank you. Adedon said the lecture was quite lucid and enlightening. Thank you so much. Adedon, I appreciate that. You have always been very consistent. God bless you too. Dr. Orwell, my national coordinator, sir, are you about to say something? Your mic is unmuted. Okay.
Sorry, I was going to commend you, but just packing now. So well done, Dr. Osazee. Well done.
Okay, thank you, my coordinator, sir. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for joining us. All right. So in the absence of any other question or comments, I think we can call it a day now. This is already just some few minutes, 2 minutes to 7. And we intend to make this lecture 1 hour. So thank you very much for joining. Mr. Akwayemi, over to you. If there's 1 or 2 information you want to pass across.
All right, sir. On behalf of Twitter Vision Eye Center, I would like to thank you all for attending today's webinar. And we hope that you found it very enlightening and beneficial. So more so, I want to introduce TREVEC website, like our doctor has said the other time, trevec.com.ng, trevec.com.ng, where you will have access to all our blog articles, our recent updates, and to learn more on the eyes and general health. Likewise, I will also be introducing our YouTube channel to you all at Tree Top Vision Eye Center. That's the channel name, Treetop Vision Eye Center. So where you can see our previous webinar series and other educative videos. Please remember to apply what you've learned today and do not hesitate to visit an eye clinic if you have any concerns about your eye. Thank you once again for your time and participation. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Goodbye all.